Well, Sunday was as bad as it possibly can get. We'll dissect this thing. As always, we got John Costco, Pro Football Focus. We'll get to the offense. Jacoby Brissett has lost his Cinderella slipper. He is now back to a pumpkin coach. We'll talk about that. Nick Chubb not getting the ball. We'll talk about some of those things that plagued the offense on Sunday and moving forward. But the defense, oh goodness, we had to wait to the second half to get to that. The defense, Joe Woods, the running game, pass plays. It's been one thing after another with that defense. We'll try to dissect it and figure out is Joe Woods the right guy for this defense. And then finally, we'll look forward. The Browns needed to win that game. They're running out of games that you could call winnable, that you could pencil up. They got the Baltimore Ravens. We'll discuss whether or not this is a must win, and is the season looking like a lost one if they do lose to Baltimore coming up here on Sunday. We'll do that all coming up next on the very difficult episode of the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, your non-victory Monday. Browns 23-point losers at home to the New England Patriots, led by quarterback Bailey Zappe, rookie, fourth-round pick, third-string quarterback for the New England Patriots. And you saw him yesterday. Guy looked like the second coming of Montana against this Cleveland Browns defense. Host Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, your host from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, part of 92.3 The Fan, the barbershop Saturday mornings, pregame, post coverage. Browns, Buckeyes, of course, Guardians. Mr. Garrett Bush, make sure you're following at GBush91. Everybody knows, after your post-game show, your direct post-game show, 2-minute drill, we come in the next day, we sit down with John Costco, try to make some sense of it, football-wise, and it's getting really, really difficult to do. We're not going to lie to that, but we're going to sit down. We're going to do it anyway, get some thoughts here from John. Obviously, the offense, the defense, and, just how far over the ledge is this team hanging right now. Today's episode of Locked On Browns is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than the Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Look, no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way. Sometimes when you were a kid, you take your medicine or, whatever. Here's your punishment. And the one thing we didn't really mention is they actually did a better job against the run yesterday. They actually did a better job than what we've seen in the last 2 weeks. But like I had told Garrett last week, if you thought Bill was just going to come in here and try and run it, Bill's going to look at the entire picture. Bill looked at the entire picture and said, I'm still not confident that your secondary knows what they're doing as far as assignments and all of these things. And it showed yesterday. You had Grant Delpit tripping over his own 2 feet trying to cover Hunter Henry, which led to a touchdown. You had a jet sweep late. Tyquan Thornton takes it in for the Patriots. To be honest, the Browns could have looked less interested. But, John, the offensive side of the ball. And there's one thing, and I've been saying it for weeks, and Gino, every time we go to this 2-minute drill, Jacoby Brissett just plays at a slow pace of football. It's understandable. Look, and this is probably why he is not an NFL starter. And the other thing is he's a rhythm guy. So to come out first play and try to go to a long one, and again, to Farrell Brown, all the skill players the Browns have here, you got to call a shot play for Farrell Brown when you get the opportunity, John. And, and the other thing was you're going against Bill. You don't know Jacoby Brissett that well. Your opponent, Bill Belichick, knows him better than you do. So it was stuff like that. The Browns are 6 for 6 on quarterback sneaks. You really think Bill Belichick didn't know that? You really think Bill Belichick's defense was really that surprised? So, John, a word or two on Jacoby Brissett. But you went into a game. And look, Coach Kevin Stefanski is not going to be the first guy or the last guy to get out-coached by Bill Belichick, but it was a doozy yesterday.
Jacoby Brissett, there's a reason why he's a backup in the league and stuff like that, and that game showed it, right? Like, he had been playing probably to the max of his ability for pretty much 98% of the Browns' plays up until that game yesterday. And yesterday's game kind of showed, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to underthrow a pretty open, corner route on that boot play. The boot play, it wasn't a called shot for Noah Brown or Pharaoh Brown or whatever. It's just a standard boot play where they had a flat player, Amari Cooper on their crosser, and the corner route. The corner got wide open. The other options were actually covered. He just missed the throw. He's got to put it out there, right? But it's like, I think you have to understand who it is. A quarterback has to understand who I am throwing it to, and he's not going to be like a fleet of foot. He can't. I have to. If I'm going to miss it, I have to overthrow this. I can't underthrow it. So, that's just an issue that Jacoby Brissett has, is that I don't think he has a good situational awareness or of what's going on out in the field at all times. We saw that in that 2-minute drill towards the end of the half where it's 40 seconds left. Has up there ready for a play and then decides to start calling an audible. And so Stefanski has to call a timeout in that moment. So I think, you're from a offensive perspective, you know what the limitations are of your quarterback. So you kind of are limited by your quarterback and how good your team can be, especially when a team says, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to stop the run, which is what I talked about this in the game or in our show last week. Bill Belichick is going to do everything in his power to stop the run and make Jacoby Brissett beat you. And guess what? He stopped the run. So you were kind of forced then to now throw the ball more often. And what happens? He has 5 turnover throws in this game and looks awful. So that's what happens when, a team actually goes out there and tries to stop the Browns running attack, which is why obviously the Browns made a move for a guy like Deshaun Watson, which, you're hoping to tread above water until that point, and it doesn't look good right now.
I saw a play today. It looked like the New England Patriots busted a play, and Anthony Schwartz it looked like a little bit of I wouldn't say it was a double move, but it looked like a little bit of an out and up type move. And it was he throws the corner route, I believe, to Amari Cooper. But Anthony Schwartz is wide. I mean, he's running down the middle of the field open. I don't know if you had a chance to see that play, but he's running by himself. He doesn't have 40 yards on each side of him. Nobody is around, and he just missed him. I saw 3 or 4 plays like that where guys are open and he just didn't see them. And obviously that's just part of who Jacoby Brissett is, and that's what he brings to the table at this point. Let me ask you this question. The Patriots stopped the run to a certain extent, but then again, he only gave the ball to Nick Chubb 9 times in the first half. I can understand if you think that he's slowing them down a bit, but at the end of the day, you don't you have to say, I got to stick with that a little more. I got to be able to be a little more run heavy. And especially when you come out with 5 wide and you're going in 5 wide with tight ends to start the game off to set a sort of tempo.
So, I mean, he's never going to be giving Chubb more than probably 20 carries in a game. You might go over that in specific kind of instances, but you're talking about in a game where they basically trailed the entire time. First half, you're close, 9 carries in the half, and I think that the fact that they were kind of keeping him at bay and not letting him have any of these, his breakout runs. He was basically held to 4.5 yards per carry, which is a fine number, but like from a Browns perspective, it's not good enough. And again, he was just constantly selling out to stop that run. If you keep running, his big runs that he did have were in the second half. So he was pretty much held at bay. And then when the Browns had to pass it, they peppered in a couple of runs and he had some bigger runs. So it's kind of a give and take of like, hey, do you just keep running the ball? And if it's not working, like that's not a strategy that generally works, especially against a Bill Belichick defense who's already, hey, we're going to stop this run and you have to try to beat us a different way. You lose Teller. That's a big part of it too. So you lost Teller, which every time that Teller has gone down for the Browns, that rushing attack has taken a big hit, which kind of tells you how, like, Nick Chubb is an excellent running back, but the running game needs that entire offensive line and the tight ends and wide receivers blocking in unison together to make it work. So you bring in a guy like Halati Frohote, or however you pronounce his name, who is not Wyatt Teller. It disrupts the flow and the rhythm of that offensive line. They're not going to be as good. So, and especially against a team that's selling at to stop it. So I don't, 9 carries. It's not a big issue for me if it's not working. You don't kind of just keep doing it just because he might break one. It's like, well, how about the 8 other times he didn't get anything? So
when you get to you start the second half, and Browns were already down 10-6. Patriots score. You go, I think it was 3 and out, whatever, and then you get, basically then Patriots score again. It's sitting there 24-6. Nick Chubb's over at that point. That's it. And these are situations, and I'll go back and I'll keep saying it is you can't rely on Jacoby Brissett to win games. And look, everyone in that building knows it. They absolutely thought this defense was going to play better. And what they're getting right now offensively, for the most part, they'd probably say, wow, I think that's peak. That's probably more than we can expect offensively, yard-wise, point-wise, with a player like Jacoby Brissett. And we're going to make the transition here in a segment 2. And this is just, I have zero answers. I really do. Because look, the defensive tackles, we understood, this is where they made a mistake in banking on not 1, 2. You banked on 3 players taking a tremendous jump. And it wasn't like coming back from an injury. We haven't seen it from Jordan Elliott. We haven't seen it from Tom Togiai. We haven't seen it from Perion Winfrey. Tavon Bryant, he is a literal run-of-the-mill NFL defensive tackle, below average. You brought him here on like 1 year, $2.5 million. So if anybody thought that was supposed to be the answer, you were kidding yourself there. And, if the point is, and we used to talk about this all the time with Pete Smith, if you could have an Aaron Donald or a Myles Garrett, you want Aaron Donald. You want Aaron Donald because he is that much closer to the action. The Browns have Myles Garrett. They have Jadeveon Clowney. They got these big, bad dogs. And these guys are like newborn puppies. They just can't get anything done. And then once everything starts to get a little bit off the cuff, like the offense did in 2019, everybody just turtles up. Just turtles up. We got some ads to get to. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, joined by John Costco. You guys are all upset. We're upset. Look, it's, you expect a better product. Look, I can understand not being good. I can understand losing, but I can ever understand mailing it in towards the end. It's professional football. That is just not the way it works. Our next sponsor, the good folks over at Nugenix. Look, as you get older, it's a little difficult to stay in shape. It's a little bit difficult to be ready for the opportunities that come for you. It happens to every man, and it can make it more difficult to stay in shape and be energetic or active. Want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging? Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, get you better results at the gym, and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T contains man-boosting key ingredients. It has been validated in 5 clinical studies shown to boost free testosterone levels in men, because Nugenix Total T boosts free testosterone that the aging process robs. You'll feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive, and more passion too. Your partner will certainly notice the difference. Nugenix Total T can help you re-energize your life and help you get back the powerful, confident, good-looking warrior you used to be. Now, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text NFL to 231-231. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely for free. Text NFL to 231-231. Text NFL to 2321. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at nugenix.com/testosterone.
turn.
Athletic Greens, again, here, as you age. Look, for me, in the morning, I get up at 6 a.m. I have to wake up 2 teenagers. I have to make sure my wife is up. They all either go, my wife works at the school where they attend. They all got to be at the door at the same time. I have to be up, and this place in the morning can be like the first scene of Saving Private Ryan. I've got to be ready to go. I am the official. I am the referee. Athletic Greens. I put some in a bottle of water. I am ready to go quicker. By 6:15, I'm ready to go. I am dodging bullets. I am blocking superlatives from one daughter to the other. I am ready to man this house. So what exactly is it? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, and aging. Again, all of it. It's lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar as well. The AG1 was invented, Athletic Greens, by somebody who's going through a bunch of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplemental routine to recover. It cost him nearly $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optional, nutritious routine on your own. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews and recommended by various professional athletes. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with Covenant Daily Nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, athleticgreens.com/NFL to take ownership over your body and health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right. Locked On Browns podcast is back. John, we'll get to we got to the offense before we'll get to the defense, but we want to say first, thank you for making Locked On Browns your first listener today. Also, continue to support us wherever you download your podcast. And if you have not checked out the 2-minute warning, make sure you guys do that. If you subscribe to the Locked On Brown podcast, it will come directly to you, so you don't have to worry about it. Hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and you will get the 2-minute warning. It's been a doozy. Every game has been in kind of contention at the 2-minute warning, except for this one, and I think it's because of our defense. So let's dive right on into that. All I care. I'm interested in Joe freaking Woods. I'm interested in what he does and what he does not do. I think, for the most part, we've got into this thing and we've kind of talked about all the way around it. We talked Stefanski, we'll talk players. I just don't. I do not like his scheme. I just don't like it. I don't like the lack of aggression. I don't like the levels of how many times he has guys wide open. And my thing is, if you're a coach, they always said it. Either you letting it happen or you coaching it, right? So if you can't tackle, you got MAs. That goes on the coach to get them prepared. And I just, I don't see guys getting better. I don't see anybody on the Cleveland Browns defense that they drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds where they developed them that came in as C players and turned them into B players, or B players when they came into college and turned them to A players. I just don't see it. Your thoughts on Joe Woods? And some people say it's not going to help to fire him. For me, I look at it in terms of accountability is you can lose a team real quick. Because we all know we've played for coaches that you felt like didn't have a clue or coaches that weren't in your best interest. And when those coaches stuck around, you say, okay, well, look, am I going to watch as much film this week? Nope. Am I going to stick around and do extra treatment? Nope. Jadeveon Clowney probably looked around and made a business decision. Do I want to go up out there? My ankle kind of hurt a little bit. I don't see it with Joe Woods. Your thoughts, John? You watch him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, from a scheme standpoint, I like the scheme. The problem is that when you have the problem is they don't have the players, right? So last year they had the same scheme, and they had a top 5 type defense. It's so from a scheme standpoint, I don't think it's an issue there. The issue is it's reliant on star players, if anything, or like the fact that like you when defense for one, I'll backtrack a little here. Defense for one, when you have weak links, that's where issues pop up in your defense. So if you have a weak link at your slot cornerback position, that other team's going to roll out 3 wide receivers and move their best receiver into the slot and pick on your slot cornerback because your weak link in your defense is that slot cornerback. If you have a weak link that's your entire defensive line except for Myles Garrett, they're going to attack that. If you have a weakness in your linebacker core, which is the Browns do have right now without Anthony Walker and playing Jacob Phillips out there, that's a weakness for them. The opposing offenses are going to attack that. So when you have 5 weak links on your defense, I don't know how you can mask that as a coach. Now, when it comes to the players quitting in the fourth quarter when they were down 2 scores, that is 100% a coaching thing that they need to figure out, right? Like that's something different where it's like you quit. Those players quit on that team because they quit on that coach because they don't, for whatever reason, right? That's where the issue lies for me when it comes to Joe Woods because, and I mean, and also for Kevin Stefanski, it ultimately lies on him too because I thought for the first 3 quarters of that game, the defense from a run stopping perspective was actually really good. Like they did a decent job of stopping the run and making sure that they were fitting gaps and making plays and limiting the Patriots to basically only one explosive run in the entire game. The issue is that you have Grant Delpit, who sucks, getting beat on plays. Greg Newsome had an awful game. You didn't have Denzel Ward, so you're there. It was Greedy Williams' first game back, so he's probably not 100% really. Greg Newsome on a play lost his shoe and then quit and ran away from where the play was directly coming at him and ran in the other direction. So that's the issue I have with this team is that you have guys that just quit, right? So that's a coaching thing, and there needs to be a change because of that. If you're playing, no matter who, like and when I was playing, I always played my heart out. That was just who I was. But not everybody was like me in terms of like, I'm going to go 100% all the way to the end, no matter what the score is. That was who I was. But not every player is like that. Not everyone is. So you as a coach, you have to motivate those guys that don't care in those moments of like, we're down 3 scores. Why should I try? Well, figure out a way to get that kid to play harder in those moments because this game's not over yet.
John, is it realistic to believe as bad as this is, we can even come back to the sense that this defense could be even close to what it was in 2021?
No, because they got different players, right? So like every year is different. They have different players. They lost for one. Troy Hill is no longer there. You've got Martin Emerson who's a rookie, so you're trying to get a 3rd round rookie who I think has talent and can develop, but you're been asking him to play a lot more snaps than probably what you'd expect. And then obviously on the defensive line, you lost guys that were quality players last year and no longer there for the Browns, and you're asking guys that have literally never shown anything in the NFL that they could be a defensive lineman in the NFL playing starters snaps. And then you also brought in Taven Bryant, who is not anything in the NFL, has never been showed it. I thought he could have been something as a prospect coming out. He was a former 1st rounder, I think, but I didn't think he was that good or anything. But I just thought that he could be a good situational role player where you could rotate him in. He shouldn't be a starter. He's not a starter in this league. So, and then when Alex Wright is being forced to start, on the edge. You have Isaac Rochelle, who's playing a lot of snaps on the edge as well. Like those are guys that you just don't start in the NFL. That's probably out of the case right now.
My God, that's the last freaking thing anybody wants to hear is these guys punting on the year. And you know what? You might be right. We'll talk about it here coming up in a little bit, but is this something that we're gonna have to talk about in terms of is the season done? Because I thought this was a pivotal game. They got the Baltimore Ravens and the Bengals coming up. They can win those games and they can be right back into it. But I don't see how they do that with given what we see so far.
Yeah, people listen in for the PFF grades, so I'll just give you the rundown of the defensive line grades for the season. Taven Bryant's 91st out of 121 eligible with a 50.7. Perion Winfrey is 106th out of 43. Jordan Elliott is 117th at 33.2, and Tommy Togiai is 120th out of 121 eligible defensive tackles with a 29.9 overall grade. That is what you're working with for the Browns defense. you have that garbage out there on the field, it is going to be hard to win games in the NFL.
So, and really quickly, could you throw me the linebackers that are still available too? Because I think when you talk about in the middle, up the middle, that's where you're struggling, especially right up the middle with Phillips and those D tackles. You can see really evidently how it's looking.
Yep. So JOK is a 60.7. He's 43rd out of 80 eligible. And Jacob Phillips is 77th out of 80 eligible with a 37.3. And you want to talk about a difference of a player. Anthony Walker was grading at an 82.7. He was number 4 in the NFL at the linebackers position before he got hurt. That is what you call a catastrophic injury to a defense, because he was playing good. He was playing good football and was a leader on that defense. And now they don't have any leaders on that defense. It's clear.
Well, I mean, first things first, to be fair, I mean, Togiai and Elliott actually jumped up a little bit in the rankings from where they had been. So
Did Togiai go from dead last?
Dead last. So, I mean, hey, congratulations, kid. We're trending in the right direction. Another 10 years, maybe he'll be a viable defensive tackle in this league. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, joined by John Costco here on your latest Locked On Browns. Prize Picks, as everybody knows. I really enjoy Prize Picks. I enjoy it for the primetime games. You're sitting down, you got one game to watch. The one thing for me that always bothered me playing daily fantasy was trying to be tuned into so many games. This is where Prize Picks is perfect. You can pick 2 to 5 players in any primetime game. So you're watching that game anyway. Why not have a little skin in the game? You pick a lineup, 2 to 5 players, and if they go score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you go into 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you watch. The NFL, NBA, MLB, women's sports, collegiate sports, you name it, they got you covered. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON, caps no space. You deposit 100, they give you 100. You deposit 50, they give you 50, etc., etc. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
Welcome back to Locked On Browns podcast. You know what it is. You know, when we get past the game, you got to get to these PFF grades. John Costco's in the building, as well as Jeff Lloyd. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Let's get right off into this thing. I thought the game against the Patriots was a must win. And you come out and a guy named Zappe get throws for 300 yards. I think his quarterback rating was 118 or something. And he's on the road doing that. So, I think that they've showed where they're at defensively, and it pointed to some of the things we talked about in the first 2 segments. I think the defense quit. I think they quit during the second half of this game, especially when the Patriots came down and scored. And it was a reverse play where they just basically, he got a jet sweep reverse and ran right past your boy Delpit, who was unblocked. And then the thing that I'm tired of seeing is John Johnson and Delpit looking at each other doing this. Thought you had him. No, bro. So now we go against Baltimore Ravens. We got Baltimore coming up, and we got Cincinnati back-to-back with those 2 guys. Yes, they can get off the. Yes, if they put some games together and they win those games, they're right back into what we call the AFC North. But I just, like I said before, I don't see it. John, what are your thoughts on them and the possibility of them beating the Ravens? Because I just don't right now. I don't know why anybody would say they would beat them.
The reason why they would beat them is that the Ravens are, I would say, not that great of a team, and they're just obviously beatable. And I think the Browns, you talk about both games last year, and also, basically in recent history, that they play them extremely tough. They get up for this game, and they want to. They have like they want to stop Lamar Jackson. Like it's a game that it seems like they circle every single year, both games. You talk about. Nobody wants you, Cat. Sorry. Nobody wants you. We talk about a game that they circle and they want to stop Lamar Jackson. They get motivated for this game. They really do. So it'll be a good barometer to see where this defense is in terms of like their motivation, because we've seen it before from this defense that they want to stop Lamar Jackson. I would expect Clowney to be back for it. Obviously, I'd expect Denzel Ward to be back for it as well. So should be full strength, quote unquote, full strength. I would then also expect that, Deion Jones should be able to play in this one too. So, I think they'll have obviously 3 new pieces on there, which will be massive upgrades based on what they've had. So that is a positive thing for them. And that's where I'd see that they could beat them. And the Browns still, the Ravens defense is not as good as the New England Patriots defense. So from a rushing standpoint, the Browns should be able to run it on the Ravens, no problem, which helps Jacoby Brissett in terms of keeping in a flow and a rhythm of the game, and that they should be in the thick of this. So, I've seen like the Browns kind of get beat handily. We saw it last year against the Patriots where they got basically whipped up and down the field, just kind of like this. This one, he wasn't even like that though. This one was a much closer game than the one last year, and I think that from like I said, the Browns get up for this game against the Ravens. They just do. They just have, and if they don't, then I think there's bigger issues that play here.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll wait for you to come around. We'll wait. We'll wait for the Cincinnati game to come around. But Jeff, I think there's issues here. If they play well and if they win this game, it'll be the best job Kevin Stefanski. It's the biggest win of his career. I'll say that. If they win that game, because this is on the brink of disaster to me. They're looking at 2-8, right in the face.
Well, the other thing here is it going to be Deshaun Watson is going to come back to play for the Browns to try and get them to a wild card, or is Deshaun Watson going to come back and shake off the rust because he hasn't played in 2 years? I mean, I think we'd all like the former, not the latter in this, but you all got to do something. And look, if you can't get motivated, and look, again, 3-3, 3-3, the top of the AFC North, you're sitting there 2-4 with the Steelers. So even though after yesterday, it feels like it is done and dead, and rightfully so, you can truly go and in 2 weeks, put together 2 solid football games and be sitting at the lead in the AFC North. So for all your shortcomings, for all you haven't done, and John, I do agree with everything you say, Ravens, except the problem is usually when we go there, it doesn't go very well. But look, all excuses are off. And even still, John, there might be another D tackle in the fold with the guy from the Falcons that they brought in too. So there could be, maybe 4 new pieces going in next week for the Browns defense against this. We'll see the way it works. It's always a pleasure with John Costco. Some games are more fun to sit back, and it seems like we kind of have the same amount of laughs anyway, whether it's praising people or, or maybe we're just, talking ourselves, talking ourselves out of grabbing the bottle of whiskey. Look, I understand for fans, it gets upsetting. And I mean, for you guys, and that was even the thing in the back of my head, because when it went on Saturday night for you guys, a miraculous rally, any confidence I had in the Cleveland Browns giving you a good effort on Sunday afternoon, I was like, yeah, that's over. This is totally going to be the piss in your Cheerios, and now psych yourself up to go see the Guardians play one more time. It just kind of felt like there was no way the Browns were going to keep that city momentum going for you. Guardians fans, hang in there. 5, all the best of luck with that. Just a little bad news, folks. There is rain in the forecast. There's rain in the forecast in New York between 7 and 9. So we'll see how the way that works out as well. Luckily, this is actually probably good that it is a bullpen game. It's probably good in that respect, because if it was something that maybe cost somebody a starter, that would obviously, be a really, really tough way. So we'll see all the way that plays out. It's always a pleasure getting John in here at John Costco 3, part of PFF. John's been there forever. The Browns fan in him, loves to come here, share his insight, and, to talk about you have 4 defensive tackles, with grades 50 or lower. I mean, and I know everybody wants to fire the defense coordinator. Maybe we should talk about the defensive line coach too. And actually, I do believe the defensive line coach was gone, and then the defensive line coach came back because he was down at Ole Miss for 2 weeks with his brother and decided he wanted to stay. So just craziness with that, all of that. Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe with the notifications on there. Barbershop 92.3 The Fan, Saturday mornings, pregame, postgame coverage, Browns, Buckeyes, Guardians. It's always a pleasure, guys. Myself, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.